Thank you for checking out the channel. We are not going to do pirates and demons today. Instead, we're going to do that tomorrow at the same normal time, 10 o'clock. Instead, we're going to do Microscope, which I'm pretty excited about. I've been meaning to try out the game for quite some time, and it is a very interesting story game, and that it's GMless and can have like this huge sweeping scope, or it can dial down into something very small. And hey, Dark Lavender Void, thanks for checking out the stream. That's awesome. With us today are Mark and how is your I don't want to mangle it. How is your Twitch name pronounced?
Mine?
Yeah.
Duna.
Okay, I'm still okay.
Duna.
Okay. I would still mangle that. So apologies. And also Tuxtradamus, who is a pretty regular streamer, and it is definitely very active in the Twitch community, doing a bunch of RPGs.
I'm Twitch's center square. I just show up where I'm needed. Go to people are like, hey, we need somebody. I'm like, fine, I'll come on. Kind of just happens. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, how are you guys doing? Are you feeling?
Very good. Very good. I'm excited.
Cool.
I think I'm the only one of us that's played Microscope before, and it's awesome. So I'm excited to play it again.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Sounds promising.
So let me see. Shall we jump right in, or how would you guys like to sort of segue into this?
Whatever you would like. Should we describe it a little bit, or just kind of jump right in and let it explain itself?
Maybe I think a top level explanation might be a good idea. Like I have a pretty good picture of it, but since you've played it before, maybe your wording on it would probably be better.
Okay, sure. So, Microscope is a branch off. It's in a category of games that's very, very close to RPGs. It's basically an RPG, except it's different in that it's not each one of us picking a certain character and playing them, and then one person playing the GM and running everything and being the person that's in charge. It's GMless. It's prepless. It basically is a framework for creating a story, and then you can do something with it, or you can let it lie and be like, we created an awesome thing. Let's just let it hang in limbo unless we want to do something with it. So it's basically like storytelling games is kind of what it's overall about. And Microscope basically it gets its name from the fact that we start on like a macro level. So basically we start out with something called the big picture, which is like a sentence describing the overall thing we're going to be doing. Like some examples from the book are 3 nations are united as a single empire. Mankind leaves sick Earth behind and spreads out to the stars. It can be literally any vague description of a story. We start there, and then we dig down as far as we want to go. And as we go through the rules, you'll see how far we dig, when we dig down. But yeah, we start out on this macro level, and then kind of describe what happens and all of that. And then sometimes in some things we dig down to like individual scenes and play it out and see what happens and how that affects other things. But it's very much like we don't each have certain characters that we're playing. We're just going to describe something. We might think we're going to start out with something and it's going to be the big main focus, and then we'll end up doing something else entirely. Like that's happened multiple times when I've played this.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically, and it's very open. We could basically do whatever we want to do with it. I think the only rules when you're doing something are you can't you can't change them. Once it's on the page, it's a thing. Like if someone says, "Oh, this guy, I'm gonna do a scene where this guy kills the president," you can't go back and say, "Actually, the president didn't die. Here's what actually happened." Like if someone says something, you have to respect what other people have said, but you can go on with that. You can be like, "Oh, well, actually, here I'm gonna do a scene where the president's son takes over and he does even worse stuff," or whatever you want to do.
Or you can do a scene set before the president dies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can start at the end and go back. We can start at the beginning and go forward. It's very much jumping around, doing whatever you want to do, and it'll make more sense once we get into it too.
Or if you got time travel, this is a scene where you try to make the scene go on differently than before. And
yeah, there's actually a variant of Microscope that is kind of Microscope Advanced, where we can do time travel and actually go back and change scenes and then play out the paradoxes and stuff. But that's like Microscope on hard mode, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, in basic Microscope, it's very much like we set a scene and then you can play off of it, but like if it's on the table, it's set.
All right. Makes sense.
And it's very much like once we get into it, the rules are they say something that you're supposed to do, but it's not. It makes sense once you get into it. I think I was never really confused at all when I was playing it.
Okay. And if I recall correctly, it starts off very collaborative as we sort of come up with like the big picture together, but then later on, as we drill down, then we sort of take turns adding stuff. Okay. So shall we start with figuring out what our big picture is going to be?
Sure.
So I am definitely feeling like I'd like to do something in a sci-fi area.
Okay, cool.
And possibly specifically like something involving transhumanism or technological singularity, something like that. Okay. And are those concepts both familiar?
Yes. Cool.
I just played through all of the Mass Effect games, so I'm pretty into the subject at the moment.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so then those things can be that can be like our part of the big picture, but then also like when we move on to the palette, we can say those things as well. Like we can say we want definitely want transhumanism, or we definitely want singularity, or whatever we want. But then and then they can also be like the big picture could be like mankind and machine merge, or whatever we want it to be. Well, yeah, I would have just kind of also explaining part of the rules as well. But yeah, I'm totally digging that.
Okay.
So,
okay. So, but for the actual big picture, we should have something that's like sort of describing an arc of history. So we need to like figure out. I guess we need to figure out like the sort of the scope we're going to do, like whether it's going to be huge. And
this is very much deterministic of how wide we go. So this could be like the rise and fall of a single person, or it could be the rise and fall of an empire, or something like that. The book describes it pretty well. And just if you were looking in a history book, this would be the one line that summarizes what happens but leaves out all the details. It should be no more than a single sentence.
Okay.
So like this is like the chapter heading of our chapter in this giant book of history or whatever. Like, so I think let's see. I guess do we want to see like a space empire, or do we want to see like a planet? Or
Well, I'd kind of like to, since since it's the first time doing something where you can do like an epic scale in one sitting. I kind of want to go with that and do like a whole empire, or like a rise and fall of an empire, something like that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so like maybe like should we just go with rise and fall of a galactic empire?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
One question.
Mm-hmm.
There is something like remaining meeting time on my screen.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very promising.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing yeah. We're using Zoom, so the free Zoom account only lets you do 45 minutes of a video call, which that's no fun.
Okay. Well, let's just see what it does
sure.
At end. Hopefully, it's not going to screw things up too badly. If it does, we may have to jump back to like either trying to set up Skype real quick, or maybe easier just go back to Roll20, even though its video is sort of dodgy. But
well, Skype is fine to me.
Yep. Either way, it's fine.
Okay.
Whatever works best for you is what's good for me. So, yeah, cool. So I guess we're gonna go with Rise and Fall of a Galactic Empire.
Cool.
Okay. Awesome.
1 sec. Let me. To maybe possible, right? Okay.
Awesome.
So now we move on to the palette.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now is where we start to take turns. So basically, what the palette is, one side of it is things that we would like to see included, and then the other side is things that we definitely do not want to see included. So, like, basically, we can each take turns saying, like, Brad, you could say, I want to see transhumanism, and then I could be like, well, today I'm not cool with slaves, so I don't want to see slavery, or something like that. Like, whatever we want to say no to, and like, or if it's like, or it could not even be like, not even be that serious. It could be like, I've been watching a lot of like really high level sci-fi where instant teleportation, light speed travel is a thing, so I don't want to see that. Like, I want to, and yeah, you can phrase it either, like, basically however you want to. Like, just basic level is things you want to see and things you don't want to see.
Okay. So, Mark, did you want to go ahead and add or ban the first thing, or you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to add the perfect computer, the computer that understands every physical law and more or less can process everything in the world. They can process the entire universe. And I would like this one to be one of the things responsible for the demise of the empire.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and that we can explore like later on. Just so basically, what we put in the palette is the perfect supercomputer.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I guess I'll or Adam, do you want to go next, and then I'll.
Yeah, sure. I think I'll leave that. I guess opposite of what I said in the example, I kind of like I guess just for this, I'd like to see like the just instant like light speed travel, like it's not like Stars Without Number or other kind of sci-fi things where it's like you have to just fly there in space. It's just kind of like you like zip there in hyperspace or whatever. So I guess we can just put like FTL travel as a thing.
Good. And I will go ahead and. Oops, that's not what I want to move. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and add transhumanist technology.
Cool.
Right.
And then basically this goes until we all don't have anything else to add to it. Basically, we just keep taking turns until you just like I literally can't think of a single other thing.
Okay. Well, we should probably ban some stuff.
We should definitely keep going, and then like once we have like basically like how I've seen it happen is basically once there's a good amount of things in each, then at that point it's like okay, yeah, we're pretty good with this, or like we should like maybe a few more things to add, then we should ban a few things, and then we'll probably be good with that then.
Mm-hmm.
So then, Mark, you can add or ban something,
and hopefully not sentience or oxygen. Although that would be interesting. I really don't know.
Sentience would be weird.
Yeah. I guess you could. I mean, yeah, maybe like geology, but maybe it would just be a bunch of sub-sentient creatures.
Yeah,
but they're since you're looking at it from a large scale, you see the patterns that emerge and how those creatures evolve, and that evolution is sort of intelligent, even if the specific creatures aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm still not suggesting that we ban that, but
right. It is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
I would ban those laser swords and laser cannons and all this stuff that makes no sense.
Okay.
It's either a plasma sword or it doesn't make sense. So yeah,
sure.
I want to ban this.
Okay,
I love it.
So like just laser weapons as a thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
And because it's so damn cliche.
Yeah. Okay. So is that's you next, right, Adam?
Yeah. Let's see. I think.
Or do you prefer Tux or Tuxedomus or
either one's fine.
All good. Okay.
Yeah, some people call me one, some people call me the other. I do not care. Whatever you would like. I guess I would like to see multiple planets like a wide. I guess. Well, I guess, and by that I mean like a wide empire, like maybe like galaxy level, not just like we own the solar system. We like it would be like we own this entire galaxy or something like that. So like
Okay.
a wide like I'm not sure the best way to describe it, but like a wide like a wide ruling, or I guess something like that for our empire.
Multiple star systems?
Sure. Yeah, we can say that.
Oh, and there goes let's
Hi,
Hey.
just
Okay.
up this quick.
Hello.
Okay. So yeah, let's gonna go ahead and kill Zoom, and I apologize that the video has suddenly gone out. It'll take me moments to.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that I don't like about Zoom is that you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's
I don't like that at all.
Kind no-go for me.
It is only one person. Like if I own the account or Brad owned the account, then it's free for everyone else. But yeah, one person has to have a paid account, basically. Yeah, it's kind of stinks, but it's the quality's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was like a one-time cost of $15, then I'd have just like paid it real quick, just to move on and not have to deal with it. But no, they want that every month.
Yeah.
By the way, Brett, we can't see you.
Yeah, there's what's that?
There we go.
Oh, and you're gone.
Oh, it's planning.
What's coming in?
Is that better? Still no dice. Okay, I think it's
still
Zoom is still.
Oh, is Zoom still trying to
open.
Hold on to it?
Yeah. We good?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Just again, apologies for the option. Oh, and it's my turn to come up with something, right?
Yep. So you may add or ban something.
Let's see. Oh, just to make it, just to provide what. Well, okay. I was about to ban humanoids, but I already added transhumanist tech. I guess that sort of works in that.
So you could ban like. Do you want to ban like normal humans?
Or yeah, I'm thinking that yes, someone could have a humanoid body to get around, but it couldn't be their first body. It would have to be sort of an exo-body, as it were.
Mm.
But like like all the races that are involved, they're the body that they're born in is not human at all.
Because
Cool.
were they humans once, but get to that form, or are they just different races at all? Because I would like the idea that humans aren't change themselves so much that they are not human anymore, but because that's the superior form.
Okay. Sure.
And they needed it to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
We've evolved beyond the need for human bodies.
so I'm just gonna say base humans.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I would like to add virtual reality.
Sure.
Cool. Hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to think of something to ban. I think I would like to ban like powers. So like supernatural stuff. So like there's no force, there's no psychic people.
Okay.
And if there's some good explanation for it, like technical.
Yeah, sure. Technology would make sense for it, but yeah, there's no like you wake up one day and you can move a house with your mind. Like if there's like gravity fields that can move things or whatever, that makes sense. But like, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna say supernatural stuff. Is that
Sure?
okay?
Yeah.
Or do we want to be? I mean, I think the ban sounds like it would ban psionics as well. So we can take it as read that banning supernatural bans that, or would you like a different phrasing?
I think the supernatural forces make sense.
Okay.
Like just I'm definitely thinking more of like the force or like psychic stuff where you just wake up and you can do things or whatever. Like if it's a if it's introduced and made by technology, like you get an implant and then that lets you do weird stuff. That makes sense. Like so like cybernetics and stuff I'm totally fine with. But like yeah, like the force, like no Jedi mind tricks and stuff.
Okay. These are the droids you're looking for.
Cool. All right, and then it's back to Mark.
Would also add some kind of collective mind.
Oh, cool. Like, yeah.
Like everybody's connected in some way.
Righty. Oh, so that's me again, right?
Yep. And yeah, and yeah, once again, at any time you can say, I don't have anything else, I'm good, and then that'll be this, and then that'll be our last run.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to think of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think if I sat and thought about it for a while, I might be able to come up with something else that I'd want to add or man, but nothing else is jumping out at me. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pass.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm also gonna pass.
I would like to ban. You know what I mean when I say black and white, like a clear good side, clear bad side.
Oh, okay.
That's
Sure.
everything is like
no light side, dark side.
Okay.
Yeah, that's everything is up to
gray. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Call it black and white morality.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's a great addition. Even better if I can get it to fit properly and move it around.
Oh, we accidentally skipped a step, but we can do that now.
Okay. What was that?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. The bookends, but it's
Oh,
fine.
yes.
It's not like we messed it up or anything.
Okay.
Yep. So now, basically we say the starting period and the end period, which for ours kind of are already made. We just need to word them properly. Or if we want to kind of twist how it is or something like that, like we can do that now. Basically, this is like where we're starting and where we're ending. So like you can see you have the starting period and ending period. We're basically now filling those in.
Okay.
With and the periods like are like the next level down from the big picture. They're like a collection of events and happenings that all describe something. So like maybe the starting period is the let's see here. And yeah, these don't have to be. I'm trying to make it more specific than they have to be. Like we can just say like the empire is officially ratified, and that could be our starting period.
Okay.
And then we also decide: do we think that is that light or is it dark? As in like the and this is not it kind of this is like on an outside as a us player looking down level, not like a what the people inside of it think. Like, is it basically is this a good or a bad thing that has happened?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that, like the overall feel of this period. Like,
I think I
and we don't
that.
well, we ban that like within, but like this is like as a rule of the game, this is a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So like when we do events and scenes, then within those we'll definitely have like gray, like everything will be gray. But this is just like as a overarching us looking from an outside view, we can definitely say, oh crap, that was a bad thing, or this is a good thing. Like, so I guess basically, is this empire becoming a thing? Is it a good thing for our setting, or a bad thing for the setting?
Well, yeah, that's going to color a lot.
Right, exactly, and that's also that's yeah. So and yeah, this also can be this also can be a gray light or a gray dark. It's not just it's basically just kind of okay. This is overall they do some good things, or overall they do some bad things. Like I hope I'm not like saying like no. Well, if we say it's light, the empire has to be good entirely. Like just this in the very beginning, was the empire starting a good or a bad thing?
Okay. So I'm sort of leaning towards, by and large, it being a good thing, like it's just sort of positive for the population. But I'd certainly be okay with it, being pretty dark for the first 1,000 years or whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works, but if you say it was necessary, at least for that moment, so it was a good thing, even though nobody know what's gonna happen after that.
Okay. Like something bad happened beforehand, and it was kind of like it came out of that. Like, well, we need something, so empire. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, sure. We can say light side then, or not light side, but like light for the description for our description. And then for the ending period, do you guys have any ideas for a description for it?
How about? I mean, if we want to go way out there, we could say something like heat death of the universe, or
everything falls apart.
Yeah,
literally everything falls apart.
Yeah, the entire energy level of the universe falls below the threshold that can support the empire.
Reality collapses.
Talked about the complete confusion that make the empire actually eradicate itself without noticing. Chaos.
Chaos envelops the galaxy
and makes the empire turn against itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Just chaos envelops the galaxy and turns everyone against themselves.
So I guess it'd be drilling down to figure out the nature of that chaos. We could just say chaos and it envelops the galaxy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, chaos envelops the galaxy sounds good. And then it sounds dark, but do we can choose? Is that light or is it dark?
I think it'd be more interesting for that to be light.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like it.
I was also kind of thinking that that sounds cool.
Okay.
Was all definitely.
And then also just as a kind of just a game mechanical thing, like we don't have to get from the starting period to the end period. We don't have it's not like the game ends once we connect to them. Like we could potentially we could have a bunch of stuff that happens right after the starting period and never even touch the end, or we could be all at the end and never touch like how we got there. Like we can basically we dig in on what we want to dig into.
Okay.
We focus on things that we want to focus on. This is just how it started, how it ended, and then we focus on things that we want to focus on in between them.
Cool deal. Okay.
Yep.
So
now,
so do we? Is the next thing we have the someone be the focus, and we or the
we start off
lens
with we start off with a first pass.
Okay.
With no focus, and so basically, the first pass is we each take a turn and add either a period or an event. And so a period is just like the starting and end period. Like it's a kind of overarching set of events and like a period in time that happened. And then an event is just a certain thing that happened within that period. You have to have a period before you can have an event within a period. Like you can't just say something happened. You have to say like, if you want to have like a king is assassinated, you have to say the rule of King Worcestershire, and then you can say, okay, the king is assassinated, like something you could, like stuff like that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to go in the same order, Mark first, or unless you have an idea or something, or
sure, or yeah, either way, all good.
Okay, so I should start by naming a period.
Yes, yeah.
So if I call it, then we will instantly start talking about, or will we find more periods first?
Yeah, we'll define more periods afterwards. This is just you, and you can explain as much or as little as you want. Like you could just say like, the mineral obamite is discovered.
Yeah,
and that's as much as you say. Like that could be a period, and like that's we don't know what obamite is. We don't know how it was discovered. That's the period, and then we'll figure out if we want to figure out more about it later. We can.
I would like the end of logic period.
Okay, cool.
Which also would be like one of the final periods.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick it there with the idea that one might fit something between it and the ending period, and there should be room to move things
whenever
out.
you say it, you just say where it is. We don't say like it happens right before the end. It takes place in between these two. So yep. And then is that light or dark?
Well, there's this ambiguity what I imagine behind that. So I would say it starts off dark.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Okay, so next up, that's me.
And so now you can do.
Okay, so I
you can do a period, or you can do an event in one of our periods.
Okay. Think. I'm gonna go with an event. I'm gonna call it an event under the end of logic, and it's gonna be development of the I want to say descriptive engine technology. I forgot that there's a specific book that I'm thinking of. I think it was Ben Bova. No, it was the guy who did the that Mars trilogy. Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars.
I don't know.
But okay, so what I mean is technology that sort of makes use of uh, sort of not uh, scalar fields to change reality. Um, so you can just sort of allowing people to just like uh, uh, edit things on sort of just to edit reality on a huge level, and just being a very disruptive technology. But I'm not sure how to what terminology to use. Can I just short? Are you guys good with a shorthand of descriptive technology, and we can or descriptive field technology or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever, however you want to put it down. Descriptive field technology is invented, or cool.
Okay.
And then is that light or dark?
Oh yes. Well, I mean, it sure looks like it's going to have some nasty consequences. But I could really go either way with it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have to decide myself, right? Because we're in the section where we're
you pick it, and
okay.
Yeah, the consequences might be light or dark, but yeah, just the actual event itself, like the tone of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it dark.
Okay.
Probably because the first use of it goes quite wrong.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay. So that's that.
Awesome. I'm going to have a period. It's going to be between the starting period and end of logic. And it's going to be I know what it doesn't. I just need a word. The photonic war.
Okay.
And that will be dark.
Dun dun dun.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yep, and so that was our first pass.
Oh yes.
Yep. So now we get into like the actual play, where we start off. Yeah. So now basically that's going to be very similar to the rest of play, where we do either a period event, or now we can start doing scenes as well. So when we start this round, we pick a focus, and basically a focus. I'll just read from the book because the book does it better explaining it than I do. Basically, the person that starts it off is called the lens. And to start off this pass, the lens picks a focus, a unifying theme that ties the story together until the next lens picks a new focus. The focus can be anything: a person, a place, a thing, an institution, an event, a period, a concept, anything you want. The lens can use something that already came up in play, or make up something completely new on the spot. So, if we were like focusing on something different, like if we weren't in space, we were like maybe on a planet or something. An example that they say is like, the new focus is going to be the sinking of the Gabriel Dora. It's a luxury liner that goes down mysteriously. So, like it can be literal. The focus can be anything that exists, doesn't exist yet, something you want to come up with, like a person, an idea, a concept. Like it could be crime, it could be King Bob, it could be whatever you want. And then basically what that is everything that we come up with has to have something to do with that for this pass. Yeah. And so if Mark is going to start, then you can come up with the first focus.
Okay. Well, Mark, do you want to start, or do we want to put Tux in the hot seat?
I'm fine either way. I have ideas. I can bring them on, but I'm also fine if you say someone else should be first at some time. So,
if you have an idea, then feel free.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. I would like the focus is between the conflicts of some sort between ideas, between freedom versus order, emotion versus rationalism, and collective versus individualism.
Okay, so like conflict of ideas is the focus.
Yeah.
Cool. And so now,
conflicting morals or reality. Yeah. Conflicting morality, I think.
Conflict of morality.
Cool. Yeah. And so, just again, so now, whenever we take our turn to come up with something, in some way it has to connect to that. So it may come up when we describe it. It may come up. We can explain it as a player, however we want to it wants to connect to that. And so now, as the lens, you come up with the first thing. When you're the lens, you have the option to you can come up with a period, an event, or a scene. And as the lens, you can go you can also do it twice. So you can say like a period and an event, or an event and a scene if you want to. You don't have to.
Okay. I would like the photonic war being being connected to this.
Okay.
And the ending scene is the ending from the photonic war is the establishment of I don't know if I understood right. I can say it's the establishment of the collective mind, an imperative an imperative collective mind.
Sure. Yeah. So it's an event within the photonic war. Then. Yeah.
Yeah, or the end of the photonic war. That's what the photonic war was about. That's what's the idea. The ones who want to establish it are the ones that want to keep their individualism.
Cool. Yeah. So an event underneath it. That's the establishment of the collective mind.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And then if you would like, we can do a scene of that event, or we don't have to. And the scene is basically where the actual role playing of this comes into play. And so a scene can go one of two ways. Basically, the point of a scene is to answer a question. And you can either know the answer to the question, and then the scene is just you saying exactly what happens, or you can have a question and not know the answer, and that can be all of us take place in the scene, and we figure out the answer by role playing with each other. If you have an idea of what happens, you can feel free to just say, "Here's the scene. This is what happens. The question that we're answering is why the collective mind." Whatever question you have. If you, and then of course, this is all if you want to. If you don't want to do a scene, we can move on.
Okay. Then I would like to play out the scene where the individualists already know they will lose the war, and then talk about how they may be able to leave something behind that enables their beliefs to maybe have a chance in later ages.
Okay, cool. So then we'll have a scene underneath that, and then the question is, what are the individualists? How are the individualists? How do the individualists plan to survive, or something like that?
Yeah, or how do they try to conserve their ideas for later ages?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, and so then you can basically dictate how this what happens, like just basically like you're writing a scene in a play, or you're writing a scene in a book. Just say exactly how you want it to happen and what happens.
This is the one last safe room that the leaders and the elite, the intellectual elite of this force have, and they all meet up, knowing they only probably have a few hours or days until they all be one part of the collective mind, and they now try to find a way fast to have a chance to fight and live another day, or that because that won't be possible, to actually keep something behind, leave something behind that will take over for them at some point. May it be 1,000 years, 1 million years, or at the end of the cycle of this empire.
Cool. So they plant something in the collective mind.
Is it true? Yeah, or that's a possibility. That's the question we might discuss now.
And if I recall correctly, you have a choice of if you know how you already know the answer to the question, you can just like narrate the scene, or you can have.
No, I don't want to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So then this will be a all of us playing it then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. All right, so then with an all play scene, as the person that's setting it up, you can say if there's anyone, if like we don't have characters yet, but you can say like a certain, you basically say who has to be here and who is banned from the scene. And so if you have like ideas of characters you're kind of like tossing around in your head, like you can put them down. You could say no one is allowed or no one is banned, and we can just come up with people on the spot. This is your chance to kind of frame it and say, I want the leader of the individualists and like a traitor from the collective mind, or something, like basically whatever you want to. If there's certain people that you want to be here, or certain people that you don't want to be here.
I just want to ban the militarists.
Okay,
that's all.
Cool.
Then you can come up with everything you want.
Sure.
Okay. And it occurs to me that I don't think that we established whether or not the establishment of the collective mind was light or dark.
Oh, right.
Do you mind leaving it just like this until we we end the scene? Because this might determine if it's more light or dark theme.
That's probably that's probably okay. Well, I guess because the scene is going to be the individualists like conserving their ideas. So is the actual collective mind itself light or dark, and then our scene can be light or dark as well.
Yeah. So I think just go ahead and okay. Should we?
So then,
should we establish characters first and tell
Yeah,
who we
yeah,
are,
sure.
or should we just?
So we start off with the person. So Brad will start, and then I'll start, and then Brad will say who he's playing. I'll say who I'm playing, and then you'll say who you're playing. And this is, again, since we don't have people in this here yet, we can basically come up with somebody.
Okay. I would like to be the top scientists of the individualists that suggest some solutions that may be possible, but that does not have an opinion what might be the best, and once the other to decide, or maybe even just want their input, what may be the best option.
Okay. I think I'd like to play a notorious hacker. He's there because they think he might be useful, but he's like definitely not like a regular part of the group, and it's kind of nerve-wracking having this sort of dangerous guy involved.
Cool. I am going to be a someone who is on the other side, so like someone who is like part of the collective mind, but is a traitor. So they're here because they don't think the collective mind is actually a good idea. They want to preserve the idea of a person's thoughts are their own, and so they want to help however they can. And like they're thinking that they're obviously it's going to be hard for everyone else to trust them because they're part of this other thing, but they want to prove themselves. Basically, they're willing to do whatever it takes.
Cool.
And their name is going to be
name
Reggie.
And I guess I come up with an hacker, and my first thought was like been spelled the D A, but
Damon.
yeah. But I think that's too close to Nick Willett's thing of Matt Damon. So I think that I think I'm going to still stay kind of cheesy and just be called Leet.
Awesome.
Okay, then I'm going to be cheesy as well and just use Anon.
Okay. Cool. I like that.
All right, cool. Yep. Yeah. All right, so we have Anon, the top scientist. We have Leet, the notorious hacker, and we have Reggie, the traitor to the collective mind. Awesome. So I guess where are we, Mark? Since you're kind of setting the whole scene.
The last fortress of the individualists, and we all meet up because we might have some ideas what we can do, and we know the upsides and downsides, but of course we have to discuss them again. But we don't have the resources to make every possibility work out in the end, so we just need to look what we use, what we focus on from our ideas to preserve an
Okay, so we're like in some inner chamber within this fortress.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we come into the scene. The group And there's probably other people here too as well, just where like our characters ones we're focusing on, of course. So there's a bunch of people here. Probably a low drone of just everyone like talking with each other or whatever, just kind of people freaking out. And Reddy's kind of like standing off in a corner by himself, like he's like his foot's tapping, like he looks around like no one's really talking to him because he's kind of the outsider, but he's here and kind of just waiting his chance to be told what to do, basically.
One more thing to make it even more interesting. This is the last planet in the control of the individualists, and it's Earth.
Cool.
So I am the guy that just comes in, tells everyone what's up, what are the possibilities, and is just full into the matter and doesn't focus on anything else. And he looks like that. He's just focused and is not. If you try to speak to him on a personal level, then he's just be confused because everything is so important at the moment.
Okay. Fleet comes in sporting a body that is mostly made out of like metal tentacles, and they're all like twitching sort of nervously, and I can't believe I'm here in meat space. This is one of my favorite bodies. I don't want someone to come in and screw it up, but let's hammer this out. I've got some ideas. Really?
I know a lot of you don't. I know a lot of you don't trust me, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to.
Glad to hear that, my gentleman. So, please let us go on into the matter. It's more or less just a computer talking to you. And it looks like that way, but it has wheels, so yeah. That's a start. Can move. And has a, what's it called? A display on, a big display on front, so he can show things if he wants to.
Well, I'm glad you said whatever it takes, Reddy. I think that we need to consider a virus that will propagate but not act until it's ubiquitous.
But how should it survive in the systems long enough? Because let's be honest, their technology is better, they have bigger resources, and it is there are so many small parts that may or may not destroy the virus or actually alter it in a way that it doesn't prove useful anymore.
I mean, I'm no hacker, but I mean, the mind's so intensely going all the time. There's got to be some thing that we can hide it in, something that we can like merge it with, or something that it won't even bother to look there, or won't even bother to pay attention to it until it's too late.
Well, I mean, it's built on so many levels. I mean, there's parts of it that get traded around all the time, but it doesn't actually use. I know there's some areas where we can add some code that won't seem like it's doing anything until we're ready.
Yeah, the problem is it will still be found and probably considered a junk section and be erased. There's only one part of the collective mind that might work because it's based on the mind of those ancient humans. And this is the subconsciousness of the collective mind. Nobody ever dares to actually alter it because the effects might be too big for everyone to comprehend.
It's a long
Yeah,
shot,
yeah.
but I mean, that's what we're here. That's what we're here. We're aiming it up. So, you think you can get into that, Lee?
Yeah, well, dude, I thought I thought I was playing it fast and loose, but yeah, I could take a stab at it. I can't guarantee that placed in the subconscious it won't mutate some.
Yeah. Well, if we need someone to be the person to plug it in or do whatever you need to do, I'm willing to do it. So is that your plan? Is that what we're gonna do?
This is one possibility. I can think of one more, actually some more possibilities, but one that might work as well. We could just make a big data file with everything that is needed to grasp our ideas and send it to somewhere where the collective mind can't reach it. And that is outside of this galaxy. And we can then hope that either some kind of other civilization finds it, that we can establish a new civilization with our resources there that might spread, or that the empire one day finds it itself and forgot that this what they fought against.
I mean, yeah, those make sense, but I feel like we need to make a decision soon.
Yeah,
I don't know how much time.
definitely.
Be great if we could discuss all of these, but I mean, they're gonna be here. I don't even know when.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if we try and hide it outside the galaxy, it could just get the rate of technology to just outpace it, and when it's time to activate it, it just wouldn't work. I mean, I could be wrong. I think we have to go with the subconscious. I think that's the only way.
But
it's risky, but I think it's our best bet.
But if we do that, there is one more thing we have to do. Because after we get caught, we will be plugged into the collective mind, and our heads will completely be read by it. So we can't risk them finding out what we are doing. So we need to erase ourselves before they find us after we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate redacting myself, but I agree. Right. The only way.
Like I said, whatever it takes.
Only possibility is to keep us as kind of AI in the subconsciousness, but I don't think if it could handle that.
All right, let's get started then. Okay. I guess unless you got any other ideas where to take it, I think we've answered the question then.
Yeah.
Cool. So the answer is they implant a virus into the subconscious of the collective mind. Awesome.
Okay. Depending on that, I would say the scene is dark because of that. The ideas of the individualists are planted in the subconscious of the collective mind, and before the collective mind was this some kind of help to understand each other and find a consensus. Now the collective mind thinks of himself as something individualistic that should act for itself, and uses the small parts. Before it was the servant of the many. Now the many are the servant of it. After that, it implemented. So that would be my take on this, because they basically do everything what they wanted to prevent in the end.
Okay. Okay. So both the establishment of the collective mind and that scene dark tone. That's what we're going with.
I think so.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. When
There we
it's
go.
when it's your established thing, you're the one that decides. So if you say it's dark, then it's dark.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. That is your first go in your turn as lens. So now it's Brad's turn. So you can period, event, or scene, and then the thing above it has to take place first. So if you want to do a scene, it has to be in an event has to be in a period, or and then just period anywhere you want.
Okay. I think even though I need to move things around to accommodate it, and that may or may not go well, I want to add a new period. Well, okay. I was going to say a new period propagation of the virus. I don't know if that would follow that follows the focus by in and of itself, though.
If you say it does, then it does. Like you can say, basically, just to kind of explain that if you want to, and then we can dig deeper into it once we do events and scenes.
So yeah, let me. I'm gonna have to. Some graphic stuff to fit it in, but that's what I'm gonna do.
Cool.
So feel free to move on while I fight with this.
Okay. So then my turn will be I'm gonna have an event under Chaos Envelops the Galaxy. Let's see, and then is that I never looked the right word. Yeah, so I'm gonna call it an event under Chaos Envelops the Galaxy, and basically the event is gonna be mitosis of the collective mind. So basically, like the collective mind is splitting itself into like various other so like it splits, and then there's two collective minds, and then it splits again, and there's four, like that kind of thing. And I will say that's dark.
That was Right. Where was that located?
Event under the ending period of Chaos Envelops the Galaxy.
All right, I'm being slow in the uptake. How did you want to word it again?
Mitosis of the collective mind.
Okay. Alrighty. Oh, and we need to
Then,
set
and then it would be dark.
lighter. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think I'm actually gonna make spread of the virus light.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yep, you made your period. I made my scene, so it comes back to Mark. And so now, once again, as the lens, you can take your turn, and you can, if you want to, do a double of a period and an event, or an event and a scene, or you can just do one. Basically, yeah, but you can place something under wherever you would like.
Okay. I would do an event first off. The end
Okay.
of logic. The ending moment of the end of logic, which give its name. The perfect computer is built, or is finished.
Cool.
Okay, and that's an event rather than scene.
Yeah, and
Or...
I would maybe we can. Yeah, it's. I think it has to be an event, but we can make also a scene out of it because.
Yeah. So yeah, since you're the lens, you can do the event, and then we can also do a scene under it to answer a question.
Then I would say the computer is built and it shows everything which will happen and how it will happen and how every single atom in the universe will react on the others. And there's a problem with it. Because of the computer, this does not even work like before, because the computer can't foresee the consequences that its readings have on the world. And because the collective mind sees the collective mind thinks, if I know what will happen in the world, I can do everything I want. I will be the perfect being, and I'll be almighty, so I will be the freest individual that is possible. But now there's a problem, because everything which is said will happen and the collective mind tries to prevent or to make happen does not work out in the end, or at least the majority, because it can't happen this way, because it reacts differently than it would have before. And I think we should play out a scene where the collective mind tries to use three different or tries to find out what it's going to do. It can't grasp the possibility that the computer might be not useful to it, and it says everything the computer says is logical, so it has to happen. So it will be perfect no matter what, but something else is not right here. So it tries to collect all the resources that it has to find a solution. and those are that are the voices of you talking into the collective mind and suggesting what could be done.
So, what's the overall question that we're answering with the scene?
What are we going to do now?
What is the collective mind going to do
Yeah.
with the
Because
perfect computer?
that's the goal of the collective mind, to be the freest individual that is possible. So it has to be almighty for that. And that doesn't work because the computer can't foresee the changes that its own predictions make. So that's
Okay. So then now you can say who has to be in the scene and who is banned from the scene, if you would like to require or ban anybody.
Yeah, that's what I said. You two are the collective resources that of the mind that are like two like two on the shoulders. Like, hey, we can do that and that. No, that should be differently. Like parts of the collective mind within it. And that would make also sense because there's the mitosis of the collected mind in the ending period, which
okay,
would
so
be
two
then
so
splitting
two
up.
there's two required characters that are differing, like people with two people that have differing opinions on what to be done.
Yep. No,
Okay,
not people, but the collective of the people, more or less. You are collectives. You speak as collectives.
Yeah. Okay. So like representatives of part of the collective.
No, not representative. You are the equation of the collective. You are not an individual at the moment, but you talk as a collective. Like computer made of different computers.
So then I guess I'm just, how are there two of us then if everyone is
because
everyone?
it's split up to see more angles. Split up in two different. The resources are split up in two to have two different angles from which possible other direction. The problem is I'm not that good at English. I think that's the problem. There
a
are
lot better than my German.
That might be true.
Yeah.
There's 1 trillion people. That's just one number. Doesn't have to be that number.
Right.
And half of those is you speak for half of those, and the other one is Brad, and that is the
it's there. We decide who we're actually going to play after this, but yeah. So
yeah. That's what I was thinking. That
yeah. So there's two required characters that are part of there's one part of a collective mind and another part of another collective mind.
It's actually part of the same collective mind, but it split itself into two to actually grasp the
so it's like debate. So it's like debating itself on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, got it now. So yeah, I'm not sure how to word it is. I get who they are, but how to word it is in
two aspects of the collective mind.
Yeah.
Formulated to
cool.
Yeah, to come to a decision synergistically.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So
okay,
yeah,
but the
required
question
are two aspects. Is anybody banned from the scene?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, so Brad decides who he's going to play first.
Okay. So before I do that, let me try and narrow down the question. Like, okay, so it's essentially the question is how to proceed. Can we keep it that open,
If we want to, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's
be...
I mean, I guess it's up to you, Mark, right? I mean, it's.
I think it would be the logical step to say, how do we proceed to actually still reach the goal and make the computer understandable for us that we can use it as we would like to.
Yeah.
So, how do we reach the goal of using the computer constructively, or
to make us near almighty?
Okay.
As a collective mind.
With that. Okay, so so I need to pick a character, one of the and.
Yep. So you can decide to be one of the two aspects or another character.
I'll go ahead and be one of the aspects. I'll be designated devil's advocate.
Cool. I will. Since this seems like it's gonna be very discussion-y kind of thing, I'm gonna play as I forgot that something. I forgot that I was just looking at the PDF again. Something you can do is basically play as time to like push the scene along. And so to kind of introduce that, I'll play as time as basically the computer. Like the computer is going to basically be like awaiting input and then eventually say no input taken, making decision. And so time as the computer is going to be my character.
Okay, then mine is set in stone anyway, so.
So you're going to be the other aspect, yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, and then so now, what are each of the characters like feeling? What are they thinking about going into the scene?
My character, my macro character, if that makes sense, is just thinking rationally how to solve this problem and how to preserve the most benefits in the end without damaging myself.
Cool.
And
then devil's advocate, do you have like what's your thoughts coming into it?
So I'm thinking that I actually have like a very positive outlook. I think that it's sort of fait accompli that transhumanity will be able to make use of this computer to achieve all things, but I definitely want to optimize it by being pessimistic and pointing out problems now.
Mhm.
That's enough to
Yeah.
go on.
Cool. And then I guess just as time pushing the scene along, the computer is obviously not thinking or feeling anything. It's like it's presented its like logical conclusions and everything. It's the program's compiled, it's presented the results, and now it's just kind of waiting. But as it's also like knowing that this discussion is going to take place, it's kind of doing stuff in the background, and so if the collective mind doesn't reach a consensus, like within whatever the computer thinks is the time it should, it will like, okay, this path did not happen, moving to this path, and so it's going to do something else. And so it's not even thinking or feeling. It's just I have two paths ahead of me. If this path does not occur, this path will occur. And so we can perform the scene then. And so once again, if you'd like to kind of set the scene, like what's like, where are we, what's going on.
I did before, actually, because the computer is built and the problems seem to be grasped by now.
Okay. So
or at least it thinks that it did.
Yeah. So I guess like where we are, there's like a screen. The computer has like presented like there's like a bunch of like data and flowcharts and like paths of what way reality and what way time is going to go, and just it's like a time. It's basically a timeline. Just like, hey, this is what's going to happen. That we've reached our conclusion logically. Like, and it's got like an input, like what you want to do. And it's just it's sitting there waiting. According to the screen, it's just sitting there waiting, and in the background, like it's like doing stuff. It's thinking. It's compiling even more as like basically every second that goes on, things are changing in the background, and so it's just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen.
So if you want, I can start, and I'll put out there. Well, obviously, this is logically impossible. Any action that the computer takes will change will itself change the future it sees. There's no overcoming that.
Acknowledged. But this is our final goal, to actually use it to its fullest potential. So if we are surrender now, there's no reason to go on with anything. So it must be the only logical conclusion to try to find a way it might work.
Yes, of course. We're going to try to find a way, but any way that we can find, the computer is already seen.
Yeah. If this would be the case, then we wouldn't have a problem, because the computer sees everything, which means we can see everything, which means something changed along those lines again. We need to eliminate that variable.
I think like very, very subtly, as the discussion goes on, you see just like events like change a little bit, like as like down the timeline. Like it's like very, very subtle, but like the text will like back like disappear from an event and then like rewrite itself. and so like just kind of as like the computer's working and like observing everything.
So because we observe the computer, because otherwise it will not be possible to actually change anything. It's because we keep observing the computer, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense.
Well, okay. I certainly have some ideas as to how we could proceed, but that that is not my role right now. So I think that uh, you haven't gotten around to you haven't gotten around the underlying paradox. I mean, just if we're whether or not we observe what the computer does or what the computer sees or not, uh, there's no way to make use of uh, its capabilities just because it any action it takes undermines its own success.
This might change if we integrate the computer into the collective mind itself. That this is not a reading factor anymore, but it joins the collective mind itself.
Ah. Well, that might get around the paradox. I have to concede that. Um, but what will be left of us after we've become some part of something that is inherently perfect? Will there be any of us left?
Unknown. Unknown how it might be possible to handle so much data without losing the mass of data we already what's it called, receive, but risk necessary to reach the goal.
Well, I'm not so much worried about loss of data. I'm worried about the loss of I. What who will be the receiver of data when will it just be the computer and will be completely redundant?
When that's mentioned, like, or I guess are these like, is this all taking place like digitally, or is this taking, or are these like physical aspects of the collective mind?
Say digitally.
Mm-hmm. So I think like kind of like the like whatever avatar the computer is taking, like whether it's like a vaguely like human face or whatever, like looks toward the devil's advocate aspect, and kind of like its eyes like narrow a little bit at it.
And if the devil's advocate could shrug, it would. Kind of thing, just doing my job.
Irrelevant. The meaningful component of the I is the goal to reach the possibility of being the most freedom individual possible. But if we don't, we cannot reach this goal, the eye is already lost, and if we give up on reaching that goal, the eye is already lost.
Very well.
No reason to exist then.
If
Thus
we
preserve the values.
if it's fait accompli, then it already then there's no point arguing. We I think that it will fundamentally change us, and what we have come to know as ourselves may be lost. But if you're saying that there's no other way, then I at least need to point out and underline that that is a decision that that if we don't attempt to back out of that, then that is a decision that we're making for all who have joined us.
Acknowledged.
So, I mean, does that answer the question, or should we keep going?
Has the collective mind made a decision? Are they going to? So we can also answer this out of like if we feel that it's done, we can answer it like as players as well. Like, now that we've played it out and they've had the discussion, like, do you think that they're going to merge with the computer, or are they going to what are they going to do?
I think out of the scene, it would be the logical consequence, but I'd like your input as well on that. So
it seems like that's what it is. Like, it seems like what they're basically saying is like the devil's advocate like doesn't want to lose its connection, but then overall the collective mind is like, well, the computer's perfect, so let's just, why not?
yeah, it's more like it's perfect. This is the only way.
Yeah.
This might work, and if we give up on our goals, there's no I whatsoever anymore, because there's then just hollow existence.
Yeah, cool.
And I think the devil's advocate,
so it sounds like that's what's happening then.
Yeah. It is essentially in agreement. It's just pointing this stuff out because it feels that's its role, but I think it's sort of given up the fight. Feels like it's done its job.
Yeah, cool. All right, so it sounds like we've answered it. The collective mind is going to merge itself with the perfect computer. Is the answer to the question. And then, is that light or dark?
So the mitosis of the collective mind is dark, so this would be dark as well, I guess. Because if the logical outcome of that would be it's following more or less. I've done from what I understand the scene. It goes into a state where the computer thinks as the computer, so this is happening, so I have to change this. Oh wait, this just change that, and it doesn't really make any sense at the end, because there is no perfect thing
Mm-hmm.
in the end.
Cool.
Because there's not that it can see every variables, but by trying to change it, everything gets changed. So in the end, it's trying to change everything infinitely without realizing that that's just what's it called, Tantalus, the Greek one who tried to roll a big stone up a hill and it always went down again. Sisyphus, yeah, that's it.
Mm.
Tantalus was that's the other guy. I know who is here, but
and is
Cool.
the event of the perfect computer being built dark as well, or is that light?
If you have the chaos envelops the galaxy, I think it's dark because it attempts to it goes into a state where chaos is a light feed. So in the end, I think that's
Yeah, sure. Yeah, once again, the tone is entirely just your view on that thing. Like, you're never wrong when you're describing the tone.
okay.
As long as you explain it however you want to, you're right.
Okay.
Like, it's just
and
yeah, it's basically why you think it is, and
I think that
it's very much just like looking back on it, like, oh yeah, I think that was a light thing, or I think that was a dark thing. It's just you saying it, yes or no, basically.
And I think this split we had now at some time carries over into the next period and splits itself more and more to actually then make the mitosis of the collective mind, which makes sense.
Which, yeah, that sounds like it would make sense. So if we want to look more at that, we can. But yeah, so now with the end of your thing, so now that's the end of this run with this focus.